Well, the reason why I came to Revel is because it offers an outstanding academic approach to Jewish heritage, textual heritage. And in the same time, it is invested in the continuity, which is an important aspect of Jewish tradition that I really do care about.
I came to Revel really wanting to learn more about Sephardic Jewish history, and throughout the courses that I took here, I really learned a lot about Sephardic Jewry from the medieval period through till the modern period. One of the most interesting topics that I learned about was probably the Jews of Iraq in the 19th and 20th century.
So I met with Dean Berger and I started auditing a course in Revel. I audited Dr. Lyman's Intro to Bible, which was phenomenal. And then obviously, after taking Dr. Lyman, I just wanted to continue more. So the next semester I was planning on auditing another course and hopefully another Lyman course.
Pretty much every single professor was at the top of his or her respective field. Even the up-and-coming younger professors were amazingly accomplished and thoroughly invested in the material that they were teaching, and every single class that I took blew me away.
You will be challenged, but you'll also be supported by the professors who are there to help you and guide you and answer your questions and kind of lead you into your own discovery.
If Revel is anything, it's a learning community where both teachers and students investigate, explore, and learn from each other, and that's what makes it quite unique.
Motzei Shabbat, we used to send each other text messages like, "Oh, did you see this word in this puzzle? Like, what the heck was going on with that dagesh?" And it's sort of fun because we were all taking the class together, all learning the technical terms and the concepts together, so we were able to, have our own little midrashim as to what's going on and why things are happening.
Some of my colleagues and the relationships that I was able to develop here are people that I'm going to be keeping in touch with, not just because of social reasons, but when I'm teaching and I come across a pasuk that I'm not sure about, and whether it's from a language perspective or an ideological perspective, there are people that I'm going to call, whether it's a professor or a friend, and say, well, what do you think about this? What do you make of this? And that's how you stay connected.
But with Biblical Hebrew, it's actually fun when we can start asking kashas, on the text. And you can really get an appreciation actually of what Chazal are doing in a lot of the midrashim, where they're playing with different grammar. Be able to see it really shouldn't look like this, but the word does look like that. So what's the reason? And it's definitely made me a more sensitive reader of Tanakh and of Chazal. When they have these midrashim that are grammatical, I appreciate those grammatical midrashim so much more because I actually understand the nuance that they're picking up on.
Two courses in particular that stood out from Jewish philosophy. One of them was Nietzsche and Modern Jewish Philosophy, taught by Professor Reinhold, and the second was Halacha and Contemporary Legal Philosophy. So I was very passionate about those two courses because I think Nietzsche is like a well-known figure for saying God is dead. So to hear or to read about his philosophy and try to understand that through a Jewish lens was very fascinating. So from his critiques about God's existence to asceticism and morality, and just viewing that through a Jewish lens, whether it be through the Rambam and Guide for the Perplexed or modern day example of Joseph Soloveitchik, I found that to be very fascinating. It was one of my favorite courses I took here, and I actually gave a class about it at NYU.
One of the things that really interests me when it comes to studying Tanakh is understanding the Tanakh in context of its ancient Near Eastern background. So that's something that I've been exposed to in Revel more so than in other areas of my life, but it definitely enhances every time I'm studying, even by myself or even reading the Parsha or in Shul, to try to think about, what was life like in the time that Avram was living or in the time that even Esther was living, and to try to kind of help that put in perspective what I'm reading and have that kind of shape the approach and the understanding that I have of the Tanakh, whether it's because of the lexicon that's being used or whether it's because of the certain professions that are being described.
My primary focus so far has been medieval Jewish philosophy, but I'm moving towards the modern, somewhat influenced by the younger members of the staff here.
One of the more fascinating topics, for me at least, was a paper that I had been thinking about for a long time, an issue that I was interested in since my youth, and that was the development of the Talis Katan.
I realized that I'm really deeply interested in 4 major themes and the way they play out in Jewish sources. One would be loneliness, and the other one would be the notions of self. The third one would be a notion of dialogue. And the fourth one would be this dynamic, vitalistic theology that has been developing in the 20th century.
Some of the most interesting and important things I learned at Revel or in the Messianism course and polemic course that I took with Dr. Berger, one always realized that some of these issues that we think are hundreds and thousands of years old actually very much relate to nowadays, how Jews relate to other cultures, how Jews relate to Christianity, and how the different various Jewish groups form nowadays. A lot of that was completely already determined hundreds of years ago.
I decided to come to Revel not necessarily because I wanted to go into academia, but because I think that it's very important for every single Jew to learn about their history and to be educated enough to be able to speak about it and to feel a sense of identity when they talk about their people.
I would say one of the things that I'll be taking away is my ability to think has somewhat grown, or as my friends have told me. So I think I've acquired a lot of better analytical thinking skills being a student of Jewish philosophy at Revel, and that's something that I take with and apply to many areas of my life, not just academia. It comes to learning, it comes to reading and all these things, so that's one thing I'm grateful for. The other thing is the wide body of knowledge that I was exposed to at Revel, particularly Jewish philosophy and also Iranian Jewish history. Just the things that I've learned that I'm so passionate about, that it's something that Revel will carry with me for a long time, hopefully a very, very, very long time.